Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Once again, I am Nicodemus Kane. It is January 28th, 2022. Today we will be reading Psalm 99. We are getting through them. We only have 51 more left. It's just amazing that I've done this many videos just reading Psalms. Daily, I might add. It's been a journey, man. It's been interesting. We've learned a lot of things. We've definitely covered a lot of things. Um, I don't know yet where exactly I'm going to go after we get done with these. I mean, like I said, we've still got 50 something days, and that will take us what until April. So then, by April, we will be we'll be worried about Passover in April. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to go after that. We'll see. Whether I decide to read anything or not, I don't know. But that's a while away. Things are changing day to day so much at this point that you just don't know what you're going to be doing tomorrow. So we'll just take this for today and see where it goes from there. So I'll get through this. Psalm 99. The Lord reigneth. Let the people tremble. He sitteth between the cherubims. Let the earth be moved. The Lord is great in Zion, and he is high above all the people. Let them praise thy great and terrible name, for it is holy. The king's strength also loveth judgment. Thou dost establish equity. Thou executest judgment and righteousness in Jacob. Exalt ye the Lord our God, and worship at his footstool, for he is holy. Moses and Aaron among his priests, and Samuel among them that call upon his name. They called upon the Lord, and he answered them. He spake unto them in the cloudy pillar. They kept his testimonies, and the ordinance that he gave them. Thou answerest them, O Lord our God. Thou wast the God that forgavest them. Though thou look at... I'm sorry. That's my eyesight going bad on me again. I'll try that one again. Verse 8. Thou answerest them, O Lord our God. Thou wast the God that forgavest them, though thou tookest vengeance of their inventions. Exalt the Lord our God, and worship at his holy hill, for the Lord our God is holy. And that's it. It's short. This one is short. Looks like the next one's short. Once you cross over into the hundreds, though, they start getting long. I mean, they're looking like 1 to 2 pages. So when we get to that point, we will definitely be spending a lot more time on these. But these right here, towards the end of the 90s, going into the hundreds, they are more songs and praises than anything else. As you move, especially in the later hundreds, from like the 130s to the 140s, so somewhere around in there, they do tend to start pulling back into asking why God is punishing us, why God is troubling us. Actually, no. Let me take that back. Because I think it's the last couple. It's the 40s are the ones where they talk about God coming back and saving everybody and righteousness coming back to all the people. I think it's okay, so it's the 120s, the 130s that are the ones where it seems like everything is falling apart. And it just kind of it's they I hate using the term that they use, but it's kind of like these waves of, You can almost feel the time periods, that this stuff is happening. Um, I don't know if anybody has heard the belief or the notion that the Psalms line up with the years. I don't know if anybody's even heard that. There's a guy out there, I cannot remember his name. Comes out of Australia. That he is this big proponent of the Bible gives us coding of what's going to happen during the year by the Psalm. Um, Chikanti Chia starts with a C. Um, I'm bad with names. I'm terrible with names. But he says that and I might have said something about this before. He says that the year that the Psalm lines up with the year of the last century. So, like, if it was Psalm 3, it'd be 1903. If it was Psalm 99, it'd be 1999. Uh, which means that when you get into the hundreds, Psalm, let's just say, 120 would be 2020. Now, a lot of them don't match up perfect. And he does some pretty decent, mental gymnastics to make this work. But some of them, I mean, it's almost like you could understand that this is a thing, and it's possible. You never know. I'm not going to discount anything just yet. I'm going to say for my own judgment that when I look at it and read into it, a lot of these you could kind of especially the ones that talk about how people are hurt and put down and all that stuff, begging for God to come save them. You can understand you could kind of put that in anywhere. Um, but at the same time, some of them just don't line up at all. They just don't. They don't match anything. They don't do anything. So it's hit and miss. It's what you want to believe. If you want to believe it, I'm still on the fence about it. Um, I mean, I know that there is definitely so much more in the Bible that we can't even remotely possibly understand. Um, it is a living book. Every time you read through it, you're going to read something different. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to absolutely subscribe to something like that. I think once you do it, kind of it puts you in this mindset that this is what is going to happen, or this is what your mind is going to start thinking will happen. And I don't know if that's any good or not. Personally, to me, I don't want to be put into a thought process where I start thinking that something bad is going to happen because, again, your brain makes it real. Your thoughts, your intentions make it real. So I don't want to put too much emphasis on that. And it's interesting to look into, but don't, But you can see the Psalms, they just come in waves. It's praise and praise and praise, and then, you know, help us, Father, we are being condemned, and then it's praise and praise and praise, and which is exactly what the Bible does. Is it talks about God takes his people out, gives them a city, gives all this. He tells them, don't be bad, or do what I tell you to do, or else. And they don't listen, and then sure enough, he'll send in the Babylonians, and then you know, they're put down cursed for, you know, however long it is. But then there's always a remnant, and they come out, and they're able to build themselves back up, reopen everything. And he says it again, if you wanna come back to me, That's fine. Just keep my commandments. Don't mess up. Or else. And then sure enough, they fall again. And then, they get taken into captivity or something happen and it's Father, when are you going to save us? And then it comes back and it's it has something to do it has something to do with allowing evil to continue. Um we were just watching we've been watching Yellowstone. I know it's not the best show in the world. It's not bad, but it's not the best show in the world. The people on that show are just terrible. But we happened into it because we started watching that 1863 or 1883, whatever it was, and we were like, "This is a prequel to Yellowstone." What? So, anyways, the guy, Kevin Costner, the main guy on there, said last night that evil continues until you either evil will never stop trying to take what you have. That's what it was. Evil will never stop trying to take what you have or taking over what you have unless you can be meaner than evil. Something like that. And that's the last he said that was the last lesson that you had to learn in life was how you can be meaner than evil and do those things that, are going to be required for you to do and yet still be loving to your family and be kind to your family. And that's part of things I've talked about before, and the Bible talks about it too, where it says, don't let the sons and daughters of evil men, don't let them reproduce. Don't let them make more, because evil begats evil. And evil, unfortunately, snowballs. It gets worse and worse and worse as you go. It doesn't get any better. It's not like evil just kind of stops at one point in life and just says, "Oh, hey, we're gonna turn this around and we're not gonna do evil anymore." No, it snowballs. It gets worse and worse and worse. That's why you have to fight it. And it takes incremental steps in its getting worse until eventually it just takes you over. And again, there's always that remnant. There's always that small group that didn't get sucked into the evil when it came, and they're able to start from the bottom again. And 9 times out of 10, when you talk about it in the context of the Bible, these small people praying to God using the power of the Father are able to fight their way back. Fight their way back to what they had before. And then the process starts all over again. I, how do you control those waves? How do you control that? How do you control that process without looking like you are more evil than the people that you're fighting? Because right now, in this time, telling somebody that they cannot allow people to breed, or evil to breed with they can not allow evil people to breed with other people. There you go. That sounds terrible. And even from a New Testament point of view, that sounds awful. But that's what we've read. So what? you know, where do you go with that? I don't know where to go with that. I think somebody somewhere is going to have to figure that out because that's one of those verses that we've conveniently dropped over the years. You know, kind of like the verses about the Giants. We've just kind of dropped those because people get confused when they don't, when they hear that and they don't want to consider, it's like this. It's the same as the verses that say that God puts these punishments, puts this evil upon you because you chose not to listen to him. People don't like that either, so they won't listen to it. It just gets conveniently dropped out. You know? They only want to hear what they want to hear. They only want to hear the good stuff. They only want to hear that they can be the, you know, Monday through Saturday sinners. That's all they want to do. So when you start digging down into this, start digging down into the Bible, and you start getting those verses, and you got to stop, and you're just like, this says something very, very awful, but in context, it tells you just don't let things get out of hand like they did. I'm never going to be the one that goes out and says that we should be hanging people from the rafters everywhere because they did something stupid. And I'm definitely not going to one that's going to be casting the first stone whenever you are taking, whoever it is out into the street and stoning them to death. I'm definitely not doing that. There is something there, though. And again, we have to unpack that because it's hard to know what that means. You know, there's something there. We have to unpack that. I'm not advocating for anything. I'm just saying. Just saying. But that's, you know, if it doesn't stop, then the waves of evil just come and come and come, and then, it flushes out. It's cycles. People talk about the cycles of time. Um, some people say that it happens every, 500 years. Some people say it happens every 1,000 years. It's these cycles of time where it's like it'll get to a point to where it'll reset, where just everything will get so bad, and then it's like the civilization just falls apart. And it's not like just the civilization where it was, it's like the whole world civilization falls apart. And then it's like it builds back up. And it gets back to that point where it gets so bad and so evil where it just falls apart. And then it builds itself back up. And it just falls apart again. And that's there's something to it. There's something there to it, and unfortunately, as a world, as a society right now, we're at a peak. we're at we're at a peak. It's ready to fall apart. They said that what's happening right now with the all of the culture wars, societal changes that are happening right now. They said that they found this exact kind of stuff happened right at the end of the Roman Empire. So, nobody wants to learn from history. They just want to keep right on barreling through. It's like, maybe it'll work this time. Yeah, it'll work this time. Sure, sure. Uh, I'm going to read back through this before I do, though. If I haven't lost everybody by making people think that, I'm advocating for going out and killing the children of evil men, um, I'm not advocating for that at all. I just, you can't keep cherry picking the Bible. It keeps saying these very specific things over and over. And it's not like they're, these laws and commandments. These are just places in there where it says, don't do this. Don't do that. It's like, don't let these people get too out of hand. I think that's what it says. Don't let these people get too out of hand. Don't let the I cannot remember exactly the words it said, and I don't have it written down in front of me. I should, but I don't. But we found it the one time, and we said that it actually says, don't let the children of evil men reproduce, because evil will intensify or something. I don't remember exactly what it said. It was like the most, it's one of those lines where it's just like, wow. That was a while back too. That was before we moved, so that would have been last summer sometime, and we found that line. And I was like, dude, that's wow. So I don't know, but here's some dead space for you to contemplate that. I'll be back in like what, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, we'll see. Because we love that dead air. Yes, we do. All right, going back through this. So the Lord reigneth. Let the people tremble. He sitteth between the cherubims. Let the earth be moved. And all the globe believers just stopped and said, "There it is, right there. That tells you that the earth is moved." It also says, "Let the people tremble. Let the earth be moved." That means that what's happening right now is that nothing's going on, but this person says, let him be tremble, let it move, let it start moving. So let the earth be moved. Don't just don't just leave it the way it is. Let it be moved. Let it be changed. The Lord is great in Zion, and He is high above all the people. Let them praise Thy great and terrible name, for it is holy. King's strength also loveth judgment. Thou thou dost establish equity. Thou executest judgment and righteousness in Jacob. And we have seen that so many times, especially in the past couple of psalms, where it says that He will execute, and they've gone out of their way sometimes to tell us He is going to execute in righteousness. He is going to execute His judgment in righteousness. Everybody will be equal when they are judged, and nobody will be put above somebody else. So don't think that just because. Okay, here's one for you. Don't think just because there's somebody in the world that calls himself a pastor or a priest or anyone like that, and they call themselves more holy than you, do not think that they are going to get judged more righteously than you are. Everybody will be judged equally. It will be an equal playing field. Do not ever, ever, ever let somebody tell you that they are more holy than you are. I refuse to allow anybody to tell me that anymore. We are all going to be equal on that day. Because of that, don't let anyone tell you how to take the Bible. See, this gets into how in the New Testament it says that you don't need that intercessor. You don't need that middleman to talk to God for you. You don't need that. You can talk to God himself. You can read the words of the Bible yourself. The Bible the Bible proves itself that if you have a question, you could probably find it in the Bible. There are things that you can look outside the Bible that will help you understand what's going on. But you do not need to have that middleman to be able to live your life, to live your life righteously through God. You don't need that to be saved. You don't need somebody on this somebody in this world. You don't need to call anybody father or high priest or whatever. You don't need that. You just need to come to God. You just need to talk to Christ and ask him to forgive you. You don't need that intercessor. You don't need that extra teacher. If you want to have that extra teacher, if you want to get together with people, that's fine. Because where two or three gather, Christ is there. This is literally in the Bible, guys. But there will be no man that will be judged more righteously than you are. There are no priests that tell you that they're better than you are, that they know more than you. They might know more than I do. Hey, that's fine. And if they want to teach me, they could teach me. If they want to rebuke me as a brother, that's fine. And if I can go back to the Bible and find where they were talking about it and prove them to be true, then there you go. But if they come to me and rebuke me and I can't find it, and then if they come back, if they want to come back with two or three witnesses, this is literal stuff, and I still cannot find it, then I can't do anything with it. And if they want to tell me that I can't understand it just because I'm not holy enough, I'm just going to have to remind them that we're all going to be judged equally. I'm not going to. I am hopefully not going to get judged because I was puffed up, because I knew more than somebody else did. Again, I don't. I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I'm trying to learn just as much as everybody else. My biggest problem is that every time somebody tells me something, or somebody says I'm wrong about something, and I go look it up, it doesn't make sense in the context of what the Bible says. It's you have to look at everything in context. It's you can't just cherry pick verses. It says here a little, there a little, but it doesn't say verse by verse. It says line upon line, sure. Line upon line upon line is you got to read the whole thing. It never says cherry pick this verse here, cherry pick this verse there, and it works. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, if it's that hidden, inside of the Bible that you have to go cherry picking that hard, I would say you're doing something wrong. I would say that it disproves itself, because God is not the author of confusion. He's not going to give you something confusion just simply to confuse you. Now, of course, we can talk about Bible translations, and we can talk about what the KJV, how bad of a translation it is, and there's different things inside that don't look right. And I agree. I absolutely agree. Unless we all decide that we're going to go learn ancient Hebrew and Arabic, and go and or Greek, and go and have the old actual scrolls, until you're ready to do that, we're going to have to put up with what we have. There are new translations that I refuse to read because they keep pulling stuff out, or they keep adding stuff in. And when you go from a KJV to like a NIV, and you can see just how bad it is, and you follow the line that, you shall not add or take away from this word, you know which one to follow first. I don't care how many times, you can read one and then read the other one and then put the two translations together and, make it make sense. People seem to do that all the time. They want to say, well, I read every translation. I put every translation together. It's like, it means you're cherry picking. It means you're cherry picking. It means that you're making the verses work for you because you couldn't understand it in one way, so you have to go pull it from another place, mash those together to make it work. That sounds like the blending of iron and clay, doesn't it? At the end of time, it's where you're trying to mash two different beliefs together. That's what it sounds like to me. Just pick. It's either hot or cold. Don't mash it. Don't mash it together. Christ himself said, I would rather you be hot or I would rather you be cold, but you decided to be lukewarm. Therefore, I can't take you. If you're gonna be fired up, man, be fired up. Pick your poison. Pick the way you're gonna go. Don't blend it. You start blending it, you start getting into this whole one world religion nonsense, because that's what they teach. They're out there teaching that God, or the Most High, is the same God of the Muslims. They're teaching that that's the same God of the Hindus. They're teaching that that's the same God of the Buddhists. They're blending gods right now. They're putting them together so that whenever you say God, they are talking little g God. So just to confuse you. The only people that aren't doing that are the people that are reading their Bibles word for word and following it word for word. That's what's going on. And it's sad. And it's sad that people are just, going along with it, letting it happen. It's amazing how whenever I was a kid, so many religious people were telling me what it was like to be a Protestant. About how they were rebelling against the church because what the church believes and what they believe are two different things. And that was how I learned. I learned early. I learned early on that not every religion in the world is Catholicism. Is that not everybody in the world believes in priests and fathers and communion and all this other kind of stuff. We don't, or they don't. It's not all the same. And yet, for some reason, every time you watch a movie, every time you watch TV, every time you watch whatever, it's always it's always the I gotta pick my words here. It's always the uh, child molesting, um, strict, almost evil to a point, priests um, that are always doing everything deceptively, or it's the way over the top racist Baptist, the ones that follow the Bible so hard that you have to be dragged out into the street and killed because you don't believe you're a sinner. Yeah, or it's one of those prosperity faith healer idiots. I learned way early on that that's not the way it is. I it never really turned me off either. I mean, it never turned me so far away from the Bible that I was like, whatever, guys. But again, I got to that point where we were almost practicing Satanists. But I understood that, that's just not the way it is. And that there is some kind of deception. You remember whenever I said I was pulling out Bible verses to point at religious people. That was part of it. Was I was pulling out the Bible verses that say, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you can't judge this, can't judge that. And I understand that, you know, the church tells you completely opposite of what the Bible says. So that was part of that's part of the process. This isn't for me personally. This wasn't like a 6-7 year journey. This was a 44-year journey. My entire life that it built. It built, and it was understanding, and I got it. I think that I still say there's a reason that a week after my 40th birthday, God decided, you're mine. Where he broke me down and he said, this is where you can be saved if you want it. So when it comes time, and yes, I had to look back down at the verse to see what we were talking about. When it comes time for all of this to happen, when it comes time for us to be judged in the final day, whenever we are all raised from the dead, and we are all judged in front of the saints, no less, that, we will be judged equally and righteously. Righteously. There we go. Jeez. We will be judged righteously and equally, and there will be no man that will be judged more equally than anyone else. So don't let them tell you that. Don't let them ever say that someone is more holy than you, that they are more righteous than you, that they know more than you just because, they've spent more time in the book. Don't ever let them say that. Again, if you want to learn from somebody, learn from somebody. If you can't prove it, then you might have a false teacher. Just saying. I'm not gonna say a false teacher. Let's just say somebody that's just repeating the myths of false teachers. Okay, where are we at? Verse 5. Exalt ye the Lord our God, and worship at his footstool, for he is holy. Worship at his footstool. Which is interesting. Worship at his footstool is the earth is his footstool. That's something to think about. I don't know if there's a couple of different references here. 132. Psalm 132. Let's see what this says. Psalm 132:7. Psalm 132:7. We will go into his tabernacle. Let's go up a couple. Lo, we heard it. This is verse 6. Lo, we heard it at Ephratah. We found it in the fields of the wood. We will go into his tabernacles. We will worship at his footstool. Huh. That leads to Psalm 5. The earth is his footstool. And interestingly enough, every time they go up, every time somebody goes up into the into the chambers of the into the chambers of the Most High, or into the chambers of the gathering, or whatever, they always talk about the floor being uh, the color of a specific gem or jewel, and it's usually blue. That's the sky. That's the waters above. That's the sky that he's talking about. That's the firmament. That's the that's what he's seeing. Every time they look down at the floor and they're seeing blue, that's that's the footstool. When anytime you see anybody ever goes up into the the judgment chambers or whatever, and they look down and they see well, the floor was like something something. I don't remember exactly what it was. That's what they're talking about, which I always think is amazing. I love it every time I hear something like that. So it was I lost it. Where'd it go? 132.7. Come on now. So this goes to 5.7. That's 6.7. Come on, 5.7. It goes to 5.7. The foolish shall not stand in thy sights. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity. See, sometimes it just doesn't. They don't fit. 5.7, not 5.5. You doof. But as for me, I will come into thy house in the multitude of thy mercy, and in the fear will I worship toward thy holy temple. That makes even less sense. But that comes from. We will go into his tabernacles. Ah, there it is. What was the other one that was on this? 132.7. Leviticus 19.2. Let's see if I can remember where in the world Leviticus is. See how good I am. Leviticus 19.2. You gotta love the dead space. Gotta love all the dead space in these videos. This is why nobody watches these videos. It's like all of my views have like dropped dramatically. I don't know why. People just aren't watching anymore. It's alright. Speaking of all the congregation of the children of Israel, and saying to them, Ye shall be holy, for I am the Lord your God. For I, the Lord your God, am holy. Which is, exalt ye the Lord our God. Okay. There are other places where it says the world is his footstool, though. Anyways. Verse 6. We're back on 99.6. Moses and Aaron among his priests, and Samuel among them that call upon his name. They called upon the Lord, and he answered them. That's all you have to do is ask. He spake unto them in the cloudy pillar. They kept his testimonies and the ordinance that he gave them. Thou answerest them, O Lord our God. Thou wast a God that forgavest them. Though thou tookest vengeance of their inventions. Though thou tookest vengeance of their inventions. Tookest vengeance of their inventions, which is probably having to do with the gods that they had created. The golden calf, as it were. Exalt the Lord our God, and worship at his holy hill, for the Lord our God is holy. Alright. And that is that. And I really don't have anything else other than that. Again, it's almost like a social media blackout. I have just stopped caring. I really just have stopped wanting to try to, know what's going on in the world. I see little things here and there, and it's like, it's the same old crap. Nobody's going to stand up to it. It's just going to keep bowling you over. you know? But that's the way it is. The thing right now is the big trucker strike, which everybody seems to be loving. Well, it's half and half. Let's be honest, it's half and half. It's some of the people I follow on Twitter, they love it to death. They think it's the best thing in the world. Oh, hey, look, the truckers are standing up, and it's gonna mean something, And then they're like, oh, look, the farmers are doing it now too. It's like it's gonna mean something. Yeah, it's gonna mean something, all right. It's gonna mean you're not gonna have food. Probably in about a month or so, it's going to mean you're not going to have food. They're cutting off your supply lines. It's like the evil bastards at the top couldn't do it themselves, so they got you to do it. And that's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. It's not organic whatsoever. It's not like they all just decided, hey, let's go make a convoy where we just all park on the side of the road and do nothing. No. I've been talking about this since they did it in Australia. And Australia only got worse because of it. They didn't get better, they got worse. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember whenever the trucker strike happened in Australia? And all those boys stopped on the side of the road? What happened after that? They opened up quarantine camps. Anybody remember that? I do. Pepperidge Farm remembers. It's playing right into their hand. That's what they want. They want everything to fall apart. They couldn't get the supply line to fall apart whenever they were barring ships from coming into the country because certain states were opening themselves up and saying, we're not going to listen to our government, which is exactly what your state can do. Legally, the satanic nut jobs in D.C., legally, they cannot tell every state what to do. It's in the Constitution. They are bound by it. They are bound by it because they are lawyers. Did I ever talk about the original 13th Amendment to the Constitution? The guys that go out and they look in the old books from like the 1800s that are buried in some random library out in like Virginia or something, where it says that, nobody shall hold office if they held some other, what was it? It basically came down to nobody can hold office if they were a lawyer because they don't want anybody taking that kind of legal power away from the people. So they made the 13th Amendment. Not the one the one that they made, and then it somehow magically disappeared and became what we know. Here's some dead air. And that's seriously something you can go look up. It's probably still on YouTube. It's these two guys. They said that they've been going out to different libraries and they've been finding that it's still on the books, this old amendment, and yet it's different from the one we have because we let lawyers become politicians. So they are legally bound because they understand that they have to be a certain way. They've been using their law degrees against us for years to be able to go around the system to be able to do whatever they want to do. And that's why that was put in place. But they are held by the same rules that we are. Is that again, the states are allowed to do whatever they want to do. We're allowed to do whatever we want to do. We're not beholden to the government of the country. The government of the country enforces the laws of this world, or of this land, not the world, the land. The government was set in place to make sure that the laws of this land stick. They were never there to tell us what to do. I don't know who in the world thought that was, the way it was supposed to be, but that's, this is for America. This doesn't count for anybody else. Uh, but getting back to the supply lines, they couldn't shut it down that way because as soon as they shut down California, Florida was like, "Oh, you can come over here and do this." And while I think Florida's just playing they're just playing along with whatever they're supposed to do. It's all an act, anyway. Uh, that still gave the ships a place to come back in. And the supply lines, things are still trickling in, slowly but surely. But they couldn't shut it down that way. So they have made it to where we will protest against ourselves. Because again, they don't care. They want it all shut down. They want it all broken apart, falling to pieces. They want it. They want it that way. They've always wanted it that way. And people are just playing right into it. Oh, it's so great that the truckers are doing this. That's so wonderful. And yeah, it just means that everything that's on those trucks is going to sit there and go bad, or it's not going to get where it needs to go. And you're killing your own supply lines. You shouldn't be stopping the supply lines. You should be opening your supply lines regardless of what the government tells you. You should be breaking down the barriers in order to deliver your goods. See, this is just more useless protesting. It really is. We're past that point of the 60s and the 70s where protesting may actually change something, and it doesn't. It doesn't really. Protesting has never really given you anything. It's they'll give you enough to appease you, but in 10 years, whenever people are looking the other way, they'll just take it back. They don't care. Nowadays, it's absolutely simple for them to give you just a little bit back, but then distract you. And while they're distracting you, they take something away. It usually happens like 2 or 3 days later now. That's completely absurd. But nobody cares. As long as they get their bread and circuses, they're like, you can do whatever you want to with us. As long as we get to go watch our concerts and watch our football, oh, we'll be good. So, anyways, no, I don't think that this whole trucker thing is a good thing. I think it's a terrible thing. I think it's going to create more problems than it helps. They're going to make you think it's helping. They're going to ease up on. Here's something interesting. Here's something interesting to contemplate. One week ago, or maybe this week, I don't know. Again, I haven't been paying attention. Countries in the UK and other places in Europe have been loosening their restrictions to the point that they're saying, you don't have to wear a mask, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that anymore. Um, and that is because their people were out in force doing protests. And I'm not just talking about we're going to sit around the fire and sing Kumbaya and, do all this stuff. These boys were out there in force, pushing back against the police, pushing back against the government, pushing back against against their rulers, quote unquote rulers. And that scared them. So, well, not only that, but, now they have half of the population with some kind of crap injected into their bodies. They've had enough people sell out that they can pull back a little bit. So they started pulling back all those restrictions. And there's a lot of people that are very hesitant to, they're kind of wondering what's going on. There's a lot of people that were like, why are they pulling back? Everybody was pulling back all at the same time. It was like, why is everybody pulling back all at the same time? It's a little weird, and it's a little weird. It really is. Australia's still going full tilt, tyranny. It's Australia. It's a prison country. What do you expect? Uh, but a lot of other places have been, they've been pulling back because they got scared. They really did. And plus, like I said, I also think that they have all of the infrastructure in place that they needed. We were threatened January the 7th, January the 5th. We were threatened that they were going to turn on the new towers. I don't know. Can I even say? I don't even know if I can even say it without my channel getting pulled or the video getting pulled. But they were turning on the new technology for your phones, and but they said they were going to pull out the last second. But that doesn't mean they didn't do it, because 2 weeks before they said it was going to happen, the middle of December, everybody started getting sick. Just, and it was bad sick too. It wasn't like, oh, here's a 3-day flu for you. Everybody started getting sick all at once. And even though I know that sicknesses run in cycles, I get this. I don't know if viruses actually exist or not. I do believe that a virus is there to clean out your system whenever, you've had too much crap in your life, and, you've had everybody stuck inside of their houses pretty much for 2 years. We're already vitamin D deficient anyways. They're blocking out the sun constantly, so you're never getting any sunlight whatsoever. But you have this, perfect storm of people going to get sick. And then suddenly they threaten that they're going to turn on the new phone technology. And then people magically start getting sick, Which, again, the symptoms of the cove are very similar to the symptoms of radiation poisoning. And this is, EMF radiation that we're talking about here. So there's a connection. I'm not going to say that's exactly what it is, but there's a connection that's being made right there. But you had all these people that were magically getting sick all at the same time. And it's still kind of going on. Everybody's starting to get better. They're starting to get over it, which is nice. People are dying, though. I get it. People die all the time. That's, radiation sickness is nothing to laugh at. I mean, you're talking about EMF frequencies that will affect the way that you breathe. Hell yeah, it's going to kill people. But they've gotten the majority of people to be able to take their injections. They turn that stuff on, and people start magically getting sick. And but then it's like out of the blue, they say, "Oh well, we're just going to pull back on the rules. We're not going to worry about it. You can go live your lives, do what you want. So that was last week. This week, it is a trucker protest that is going to kill the supply lines. You want to kill the supply lines? This is how you kill the supply lines. And this will either lead to them loosening up the restrictions because it's already been done in other countries. Well, if they're going to do it, then we're going to do it too, which means that, again, they probably already have their infrastructure in place so that they don't have to worry about it. Or, I don't even think there is an or, man. Or it's them purposely trying to kill the supply lines. It's going to be one or the other. I don't know. Uh, I do think it's interesting that this trucker protest comes right on top of them building a damn concrete wall around the White House, the Capitol building in D.C. Yes, there's a concrete wall now, officially. Concrete wall. You know what I said before is that there's two walls in a prison. The first wall is keep the prisoners in. The second wall is keep the prisoners away from the warden. The warden. There you go. So, um, I find it all fascinating, though. None of this seems natural whatsoever, and they they're doing this supply line kill, which is exactly what it is. It's a supply line kill, and they are they are setting up concrete barriers at the White House so that when people are starving, and they will be, because you killed your own supply lines, when the people are starving and they've had enough, it's going to be the first place they go. They're getting ready. They're getting ready. It's if you can't see how it all comes together. And now they're also talking about the oh well, there's good significant proof that there will be a cyber attack upon the electric grid. Oh goodness. So let me get this straight. You manage to fool the people into killing their own supply line. You are warning them, putting it into their head that you could very easily dump out the entire electrical grid of the country, and you're putting up walls outside of a place where your politicians make their laws and govern you. You don't see the correlation here. You don't see what's going on. You don't. If you want to protest, if you really want to protest, if you want to do it right, you should have been just ignoring what the government tells you to do. You should have been loading your trucks up, forcing your way through roadblocks, going to where you need to go, dumping your stuff off, and then living life like normal. That's what should have been happening. Stopping the supply line is going to kill you. But what do I know? I'm just some guy. But seriously, I said from the very beginning that stopping the supply line thing is stupid. You're doing exactly, and the people that talked about the supply lines having problems are the ones that are saying that the supply lines being stopped are the best thing that's happened. The people that less than a month ago were saying that we have supply line problems are the ones that are cheering for the truckers stopping the supply lines. Hypocrites. It's what you are. I don't know where else to say. I don't know where else to go. Uh, I do know that it is time for me to go to work. My nose is all kinds of stuffed up. Yippee. So, I have to blow it again here in a second. Uh, I don't know what else to say, guys. I don't know what else to say, what else to do here other than, you know, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd how people are just letting it happen to them. But, we've kind of talked about this. They'll choose to believe in a lie because they choose to live in their own righteousness, yada yada yada. We've been through it. So, I don't know what else to say. I'm going to go to work though. So it is a Friday, by the way. Oh yeah, it's the end of the month too. Wow. So you guys take care. Keep praying. don't don't let anybody say that they're better than you are. Uh, I would definitely stay to start stocking up on some. Well, it's probably too late now. You should have been stocking up on food to begin with. Uh, I wonder how much generators cost because that's going to be a thing. That's coming. I mean, just seriously, it's they have had within the past 3 years, 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, they have had they have had drills for not only a viral outbreak inside of major cities, they have had drills for a complete blackouts of major cities, and they've had drills for a nuclear war in major cities. Within the past 3, 4 years, they've had these. Because every single one of these drills, everybody started thinking, what the hell does this mean? What's going on here? So, you have to understand that everything that's happened in this world, every major event that has happened in this world over the past 20 years, 22 years, 23 years, uh, has happened almost directly or within a year of a drill happening, of a drill that's happened within sometimes almost within the same exact place that it happens, that they drilled for it. You know, a certain place in Connecticut where they happen to have a shooting at a school. They happen to be having a drill right down the street the same day. Certain place in New York where they happen to have a couple of jet airliners fly into some buildings. They happen to be drilling for that same exact thing 200 miles away the same day. Uh, Concerts. There was a concert in Europe. You thought I was going to say Vegas, even though they did there too. Concerts in London, if I remember right, where there was a somebody set off a bomb in a subway after the concert was over. They happen to have a drill for that same exact thing 1 week before it happened. You know, it, there was a certain marathon that was that had a bombing that happened that they happen to have been they happen to have been drilling for that same exact thing. Not even what was it, 5 days? I think it's what they said. 5 days before it actually happened. So you know, but they've drilled for these things. They're ready for this stuff. Every time they have one of these drills, you have to understand that something's going to come after it because it's like clockwork at this point. Uh, but they've drilled for everything that they're talking about happening right now. They're talking about power failures. They've had drills for this. They've talked about this massive, scary virus that's going around the world, killing everybody. You know, that might kill entire population. You know what just happened? They're talking about monkeys. I mean, we're talking about some like we're talking about like movies from the 1990s monkey outbreak bullshit is what we're talking about now. Is there was a truckload full of monkeys that may or may not have had a virus on them, and that one of the women that said that she helped the monkeys out of the road when this truck flipped over, she is now exhibiting signs of this weird sickness that they don't know what it is. Come on, guys. Hey, but you know what? We've drilled for that too. Just saying. We've drilled for that too. Loan sales. What? Okay. All right. Anyways, I gotta go. I just saw what I was gonna have to do today. It's gonna be one of those days. So, all right. I shall talk to you guys later. Man, it's just stupid. They're killing you, and now they're convincing you to kill yourselves. It's just lies upon lies upon lies, and nobody wants to hear anymore. You wake up, you pray like there is no tomorrow, and you read your Bible, find the truth. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.